So today's question is about liquid loss. So L. Foster asks, thanks for all the excellent advice. You're welcome. I have had issues with liquid loss too. They watched a video that I did previously about liquid loss and some of the issues that might be happening. He or she says, I have a gas stove, but not all the burners go low enough to keep my gauge at 11 pounds. The one that does is temperamental. So my questions are, and she has got 3 questions. One, is processing at a higher temperature bad? Or a higher pressure, is that bad? Will it just result in possible liquid loss and overcooking? 2, I saw in a previous answer that we shouldn't leave the jars in the pressure cooker overnight to cool down. Why? And 3, can you turn the jars upside down to redistribute the liquid for a few days or on a rotation if you have liquid loss? Okay, so I'm just going to go through the questions one by one. So the first one is processing at a higher pressure bad? So processing at a higher pressure is bad only depending on the food. It might affect the texture of your food and how well it's cooked or overcooked. So it just depends. It's not considered unsafe though. You're better off going a little bit higher than too low. So if your pressure you need is 11 pounds and your stove just insists on doing 12 or 13 pounds, it's okay. Now, if your stove is insisting on 15 pounds, you're going to get a little bit overcooked and and you might be not satisfied with the quality of your food. Things like, some things that won't matter. I'm trying to think of something that would be pressure canned that won't matter. I can't think of anything. But some things will handle it okay. Things like green beans, if they're a little over processed, they're just going to be softer than usual. Not a big deal. To me, carrots, if they're over processed, they're pretty mushy and just not appealing. So that's my opinion on that. And then about leaving the cans in the pressure cooker overnight to cool down. So first I want to mention that you mentioned a pressure cooker. I'm assuming that you mean a canner, because remember, a cooker and a canner are different. People use the term interchangeably, but if you are actually using a cooker, then I got a link for you below. You need to check that out. What's the difference between a cooker and a canner? But today I'm going to assume canner. And if you leave your jars in your canner overnight, you have the potential of something called flat sour. Basically what you're doing is you're leaving jars at a hotter temperature longer than necessary. Flat sour tastes bad and you don't want it. Apparently it's not dangerous, but it's very, very unappetizing and appealing. It's sour and nobody likes it. So don't do that. Take your jars out of the canner in a reasonable time frame. And then the last question, can you turn the jars upside down to redistribute the liquid for a few days or on a rotation? Don't turn your jars upside down while they're hot. And I'm talking about pressure canned foods. So things like carrots, green beans, stew, whatever. You take a risk of breaking your seal. After the jars have cooled off, if you want to turn it over and redistribute the liquid, kind of make sure everything's wet and then turn it back over, that's fine. Don't store your jars upside down. That's going to be a problem. Keep your jars upright, put them in the pantry, they will be fine. I'll put a link to how to know what is too much liquid loss for those of you who didn't see it. But as long as you've got more than half of your jar is in liquid, then you're good to go. So I hope that helps. 3 questions in one that time. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you in the next video.